Hello, today my presentation will be on the comparison of the three marks of reality in Buddhism and samsara in Hinduism. So today in our presentation we'll be going over the origins, founder, and text of Buddhism and Hinduism, as well as a comparative analysis of samsara in Hinduism and the three marks of reality in Buddhism. So, the origins of Buddhism. Buddhism is one of the oldest religions in the world. It originates to, or can be dated back to 5th century BC India, and it was founded during a time of religious excitement. The founder of Buddhism is Buddha, who was given the name Siddhartha Gautama at birth. He was born a prince, and he was kept from witnessing suffering by his father due to a proclamation that was made around the time of his birth that said that if Siddhartha were to not witness suffering, he would become a great king, and if he were to witness suffering, he could become a great spiritual leader. Wanting his son to continue his legacy, Siddhartha's father kept him from suffering. However, as Siddhartha grew, he became curious as to what was outside of the palace grounds, and he went against his father's wishes and went out into the world and witnessed suffering, which this time is now called the Four Passing Sights. And these sights caused him to question the meaning of life, so he began his journey of enlightenment and practiced a life of moderation and earned a crowd of disciples. There is no secret, I shouldn't say that. Buddha did not write his teachings. Instead, they were written hundreds of years after his death, and they were written in various languages. So, as for the origin of Hinduism, there are two theories to the origins of Hinduism. One is the Aryan invasion, in which groups of Aryans moved from Russia to India in 2000 BC, violently bringing their foreign and indigenous, religions. And the second theory is the Aryan migration, in which several groups moved to India and brought their foreign and indigenous cultures to the country. And because of their uncertain theory of origins, there is no identifiable founder. However, there are a sacred text of Hinduism called the Vedas, and there's 4 sacred texts that compose the Vedas. One is the Rig Veda, which is the hymn knowledge, and it's the most important Veda because it tells the story of creation. There's the Yajur Veda, which details ceremonial knowledge, the Sama Veda, which details chant knowledge, and Athara Veda, which details everyday prayers. So as for the analysis of the 2 elements from the respective religions, the elements that we're going to be talking about today are samsara from Hinduism and the 3 marks of reality in Buddhism. So samsara is the act of reincarnation. It is said to be a constant cycle of birth, death, and rebirth, in which the person is constantly reborn, and suggests that the world is full of change but also struggle and suffering. And karma dictates how one can be reincarnated. The Hindu American Foundation stated that Hindu teachings state that every birth is a result of an individual's unique karmic circumstances, as well as said that others may be born into circumstances in which their suffering is minimal as a reward for the dharma from their previous lives. The element of moksha is when one is relieved of samsara, of that life-death cycle, because they have gained enlightenment, and because of this, they no longer will go through the cycle of birth, death, and rebirth. As for the element of the 3 marks of reality in Buddhism, this is the assessment of existence. If it is understood, it can lead to inner peace and joy. And reality manifests in 3 characteristics, change, non-permanent identity, and suffering. So change states that life is constantly changing, it's not permanent, and nothing in life remains the same, which can be unsettling. It is stated that Buddha said that a wise person accepts change, accepts it, and savors it. And life can bring, just as life can bring pleasure, it can also bring sorrow. As for non-permanent identity, each person is changing and made up of parts that are changing too. And when in reference to the person, this is called the no unified soul. And suffering is another element, is the last element of the three marks of reality, and it states that life can never be fully satisfying, and to be alive is to experience sorrow and dissatisfaction. So some similarities between the two, both understand that life is full of change and suffering. Both also keep a goal in mind of inner peace. The three marks of reality and samsara call for the person to work on themselves. While differences can be seen as the three marks of reality deal with various aspects of current life, while samsara defines the life-death cycle. And samsara is based off of karma, while the three marks of reality is based off of what the person is doing, in this current life. Samsara has the element of moksha when one is no longer going through that cycle of life and death, where all the three marks of reality, there's not a direct name for when one fully understands those marks of life. So that concludes my presentation. Today we talked about the origins, founders, and sacred texts of Buddhism, as well as the what samsara is in Hinduism, as well as the three marks of reality, as well as their differences. I hope you have a great rest of your day.